Hey there folks, John here with Through My Lens, and today I'm coming to you with another knife-related video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this CKF Custom Knife Factory Evolution 2.0. Now this is a knife that's on loan to me from a local friend named Tim, and Tim was kind enough to allow me to borrow a few different pieces from his very impressive collection. And I greatly appreciate the opportunity to take a look at these knives, so expect some additional videos in the near future. Now, this knife is a production collaboration between Custom Knife Factory and John Sorensen of Rotten Design. Now, I'll confess that I have absolutely no familiarity with either John Sorensen or Rotten Design prior to becoming aware of the CKF collaborations. Now, a visit to the Rotten Design website yields really next to no information about the company or Sorensen, except that apparently he's a custom knife maker and his books are closed. From what I understand, he kind of got his start doing modifications, regrinds of other knives. Now, this really kind of strikes me as rather short-sighted on the part of Sorensen. The Evolution and the Evolution 2.0 are bringing a lot of visibility to Rotten Design. At the very least, throw up an about page on your website with some information about Sorensen. That would seem kind of to be prudent. If you look at Rick Hinderer, for example, Rick gained a lot of notoriety from his earlier zero-tolerance collaborations. He leveraged the value of the collaborations beyond just the money made from the higher volume production runs of the designs. That's certainly a good model to follow. Now, my experience with Custom Knife Factory is also quite limited. In fact, this is the first example of one of their knives that I've been able to handle. They've developed quite a following in the knife enthusiast community for producing interesting knife designs, often collaboration pieces, as well as for their precision, high-quality manufacturing and use of premium materials. Now, it's not clear to me, however, that CKF actually manufactures any parts themselves. Their knife parts are, according to their website, cut by Chinese factories. They outsource that portion of their manufacturing process, and then they hand finish and assemble the knives in Russia. They seem to offer pre-orders from their website on their knife offerings, and they also sell their knives to a fairly extensive dealer network worldwide. Now, hype knife alert. The Evolution 2.0, or Evo 2, is an extremely hyped and in-demand knife right now, and it is selling well beyond the original pre-order price from CKF. I think depending on the options that you ordered with, this knife ran somewhere in the mid 500 to maybe mid 600 range, I think. Now this knife is a follow-up to the very successful Evolution, the original Evolution, or the Evo 1.0. Now that knife is a little too large for many, including myself, although my 6'13" buddy Tim, who I borrowed the knife from, really consider it one of his favorite EDC knives. Now the Evolution 2.0 brings the design of the original version to a bit more of an EDC friendly kind of a size, and for us smaller sized folks anyway. Now first let me say that the packaging that came with this knife is absolutely perfect, and this alone makes me really interested in future offerings from Custom Knife Factory. First of all, it comes with this really nice pouch, which is an absolute home run for me. I've been saying for years that I wish all knives came with pouches, even if they don't come with a box. I'd rather they come with a pouch. It has the usual microfiber cleaning cloth that's branded CKF, and it also has the usual documentation. But it also includes spare parts. This is really brilliant. You've got a spare couple of the rings that hold the bearings, so you could potentially replace the bearing rings around the pivot. You've got spare pivot. You've got square screws, washers. So if you ever lose a part or something wears out, you have a replacement. This is absolutely brilliant, and I really wish that every single knife maker did this. I'm so thrilled to see a company do this. First time I've seen it done, actually. In terms of the other documentation, of course, they give you a nice credit card type warranty or authenticity card, and you can see that this one is number 11. So this is a very early production run from January of 2021. So pretty impressive. My buddy Tim got pretty lucky, and that's kind of his modus operandi. The guy just has so much luck, it's disgusting. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit more on the knife. Very good. Okay, so, clearly Custom Knife Factory understands the knife enthusiast community, perhaps even better than other well-known Russian manufacturer like Shiragar, for example, who is often criticized by me, in particular, for their lackluster packaging. Now, clearly this knife checks a lot of boxes that are on a lot of knife enthusiast lists. You've got M390 blade steel that incorporates a hand rub finish on this very high hollow ground blade with satin flats. I'll give you a little better view of the blade there. Really very quite nice. You can see it's pretty free of billboarding, with the exception of way down here you can see the blade steel marking as well. Or excuse me, that's yeah, it's got the blade steel there and the production number. So it's pretty austere. So there's nothing that takes away from the beautiful finish there. You really don't often see this kind of blade shape, which I suppose you could kind of classify as a sheep's foot, I guess. It's both unique and really gorgeous. I'll admit that at first I didn't think I liked it, but it's grown on me. Now, the titanium handle scales have a dark finish with some horizontal lines running through it, which is really even more unique than the blade shape. I've really not seen anything like this previously in titanium handle scales, and I think we all know just how ubiquitous titanium handle scales are, so that's pretty impressive. There is a very slight texture. You can rub your fingernail and you can feel lines running into the titanium, but I'm really not sure what they've done to the titanium to create this these horizontal lines here. It's again really unique, and I like it a lot. Now, this knife, perhaps more than any other that I've tested, is a real thumb guillotine. See that point right there near the choil? It comes down hard and fast. Now, it hasn't cut me yet, but it is definitely something to be aware of when you're handling this knife. Now, the blade also features an opening hole that can be used for a thumb, as a thumb deployment, as I just did, or you can use it for middle finger flick deployment. So, like that a lot. The knife has really some of the most effective jimping that I've seen on a knife in a while. You can see that the jimping actually starts at the titanium frame and goes into the spine of the blade, and it grabs very, very effectively. It's a little sharp, but not too uncomfortably so. But again, very traction-inducing. You're not going to slip off that spine thanks to that great jimping design. And I do really appreciate the finger choil that's on the underside of the blade. I think it works really well for choking up on the blade like that a lot. Now, the 3.6-inch blade weighs, the total weight of the knife with this blade. It's just over 5 ounces, and that's a bit heavier than what I like to carry for an EDC blade. I think most people try to stay around 4 ounces or under. I'm not sure exactly where that weight is coming from because the titanium handle scales are milled. There are lightning pockets in the titanium handle scales. Now this Shirogorov styled backspacer that you see here with the gear shape seems pretty chunky and solid. I believe it's made of zirconium, and I think that accounts for some of the added weight. Now, for whatever reason, CKF and Rotten have outfitted this knife with extremely large torque screws. This screw here on the pivot takes a size 15 for the pivot, and I believe the handle scales hardware takes us a size 10. Now, like many knife guys, I do carry a bit driver with me in my kind of EDC bag or my work bag. You know, just in case I do need to do some occasional adjustments to my knives. So again, I have a driver and some bits. But I do not carry a T15 bit in my kit. So while the hardware, isn't proprietary, it is Torx, which most knife enthusiasts prefer. If it's such a non-standard size as what we see here, you may find yourself still not having the necessary bit with you when you need it to make those kinds of adjustments. Now, another head scratcher for me is this hole that runs through both sides of the scales. You can see it on this side, and you can see it here, and you can actually look through and see that. Looking in the knife, we see that there's a stop pin that is mounted between the two holes here. So it's obviously hollow because you can see through it. It's not really a problem per se. I don't think. I think that the scale would look nicer without the hole, and I'd certainly feel better about a solid stop pin. So again, not sure why they did that, other than must have been done for the convenience of manufacturing or assembly, would be my guess. Now, the pocket clip on this knife is milled from Damascus, and it does represent an upgraded feature on this model. I think you paid an extra maybe $50 or so to get the Damascus clip. You can see that the colors on this are more subtle and muted than on a lot of Damascus that you see. Damascus can really, run a wide gambit in terms of colors and the vibrance of those colors. And again, this is fairly muted. I think that, this particular piece of Damascus, fits well with the rest of the knife. So no issue there. It's very securely fastened via these two screws, and I certainly have no issue with how it functions going on or off my pants pockets. So I think it's, simple yet effective, and a bit elegant as well. Now, I think there are some obvious design influences that are present in this knife. You see lots of Strider DNA, quite honestly, particularly the jimping, and of course the thumb hole. And really the whole handle shape here as well is very evocative of Strider and the SNG. You will also, again, as I referenced earlier, you will see some Shirogorov influences with the gear-shaped backspacer here. The warranty card references that there is some zirconium present in this knife, and again, my guess is that it is in this backspacer. I believe the backspacer is made of zirconium, and it appears to have a sandblasted finish. So, contrasts a little bit with the titanium handle scales. Looks nice. Now, the extra weight from the heavy zirconium, the backspacer, I think does contribute to kind of a rear bias to the knife, and I generally prefer a knife that is more balanced. When I try to balance it on my finger, it very much wants to tilt toward the back. And again, I generally prefer a knife to have more of a center balance. Also, I've noticed that ergonomically the knife isn't exactly ideal to me due to how the finger grooves are set up here. If I try to place my fingers in a way that I think the grooves are designed, it's very awkward. I think I'm supposed to grip it like this. And if I do that, I don't really have a good four-finger grip on the frame, and I'm kind of stretching to place my thumb on the jimping. Now, if I try to place my fingers in a more natural position, my middle finger sort of lands right on top of this pointy portion on the first groove, which is also less than ideal. It's not entirely uncomfortable, but again, just less than ideal. So I'm not really a huge fan of the finger grooves there. Now, Alex from Alex's Knife Box, in his review of the original Custom Knife Factory Evolution, mentioned that this is a big, scary knife. And even though the 2.0 is a little smaller, I do agree that this really isn't a knife that, you could in good conscience pull out in front of everyone, maybe in your office, or, if you're just out in public in general, because I think people are going to look at this and think it's a very murdery kind of a knife, particularly to non-knife people. So, just keep that in mind, when you're considering this knife. Now, I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to spend some time with this knife on loan. Again, big thanks, Tim, much appreciated. It's my first hands-on experience with CKF, which is something I've wanted to check out for a while. It's a knife that I'm fairly convinced that I actually wanted to get if I could find one. I was fairly convinced of that, but having spent some time with this knife, I'm now fairly convinced that it would probably not see the pocket time needed to stay in my permanent collection, primarily due to the weight of the knife. I actually joked with my buddy Tim at lunch about trying to buy this one from him. And he reminded me that it's number 11 and just, how hot these are. So I'm sure he would want several times its value. Now, there is a carbon fiber version of this knife, which, might be more for me because of the weight. I believe that version would be under 5 ounces. But a big part of the appeal of this knife, in my opinion, is the unique finish on the titanium handle scales that obviously would not be there with a carbon fiber scale. So I'm not sure if I would want to ever go down that road, given that I already have some of the best knives with a carbon fiber scale. I've got a Koenig with a carbon fiber scale. I've got several Shirogorovs. I just don't know that I need yet another one. As I mentioned before, this knife really falls into the category of what I consider to be a hype knife, and right now it's pretty impossible to find at dealers, and secondary prices are pretty prohibitive in my opinion. I just don't know that I can justify, paying $800, $900, $1,000 for one of these knives, given that it really is, a production knife, and that, the parts are manufactured in China. And not that there's anything wrong with that per se, it's just that's, when it comes to knife manufacturers, that's not my favorite place to have nice knife components manufactured. Now, CKF has indicated that there will be an Evolution 3.0, but they've not really released any specs or photos on the knife, so we really don't exactly know if it's going to be bigger or smaller than the versions that have come before it. But you can sign up for notifications on the Custom Knife Factory website so they'll email you when they're ready to begin accepting payments against the pre-order, and I have signed up for that. I would at least like to find out what the 3.0 is going to be like, and at least have the opportunity to order it. I may not, but I'd at least like to have the opportunity. Now, I'd really love to see them go back to the 2.0. Honestly, maybe if I could get one at the pre-order price, I'd be interested, as this really is a unique piece, and I do like it. Even though it does look murdery, as a knife guy, that blade shape really is cool. It's just something you don't see very often. Really nice knife. Again, glad to have been able to have the opportunity to check out a knife from Custom Knife Factory, and I'm hoping to have the opportunity to purchase one of their knives in the future. Well, there you have it. There is my review of the Custom Knife Factory Rotten Design Collaboration Evolution 2.0. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care. God bless. We'll see you in the next video.
I hope you've enjoyed this production from the Through My Lens YouTube channel. If you did, please click on the like button and do share the video on social media. If you'd like to see more content like it, please do subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and do check out Through My Lens at www.throughmylens.org.